All right. Hello. Let's get started. Let's see. I was out on PTO last week, but I'm back today. I caught up mostly on reviews today. Before I left, I was working on creating a foreign pointer analog that would allow us to share OSD maps efficiently across cores. So I have a solution that kind of works, and I'm back to doing multi-core. Aravint, how's it going?
Yeah.
And
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
yep, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I sent the patches for ZNS last week, and I got some review comments. I'm sending the new second version of the patches with the review comments addressed. I had a question to Ingzin, for the right segment tail, the new function that I had introduced. You mentioned that to use it as advance. So I was just wondering whether it's just a name change of that function, or you're what you're suggesting a little bit different, Ingzin.
I think introducing advance is by its name is to advance the right pointer to a desired place, right? So I think that could be a more generic interface rather than the right
Tail segment.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. So when the segment allocator calls segment close, so it by default it goes and writes the tail information at the end of the segment. So at that point, it is trying to write the tail information at the end of the segment, and that is the only one place where that thing happens. The writing of tail information happens at that point, and my thought was that
another thinking is that segment tail might not is not is at the journal layer, so maybe segment manager can be decoupled with details of segment tail. So just advance to the position and write the data, just like writing normal data in the implementation.
Yeah, but it would not know whether it is. I mean, it has to be called. I mean, ZNS segment manager can provide that advanced API, and but it would be the the responsibility of segment close. I mean, the close segment call to call that advance before writing to the end of the segment. Because since we have a block implementation also, right, and at segment allocator level, we don't know whether it is a ZNS segment or whether it is a regular block segment, and it tries to write the tail information. So my thought was that writing tail information should not bother the higher layer, like the segment allocator. It just says that, right, I want to write the tail information, and in a
Other way
block
around.
implementation, it just goes and writes it. There is nothing. It's just a no op there. And in a ZNS implementation, it goes and advances and then writes it. So that's why I introduced that like write segment tail. Otherwise, I try to do it only at the ZNS segment manager layer, but then it would not know what if just a write offset is given and an explicitly a different call is not made to advance the right pointer. It would not know. So even if we introduce an advance, it would still be, I would still have to in segment allocator check whether it is a ZNS implementation and then call advance. Else,
No, you call advance in both cases. It's just a no op for block.
yeah. So that's what the current I have done. It's just the name is that right segment tail. I can change that name to advance.
It should be two calls. I'm with Yingjun. It should be an advance to move the right pointer, and then a write to write the tail.
Okay.
Segment tail is not a concept that is accessible to the segment manager. It's owned by the journal.
Okay. So, sorry. So it should be a two-call at segment allocator where it does an advance and then it does a write.
Right,
So
and the
for
reason for that is we might choose to use advanced for something else.
cool. Okay. So for
Right?
block it would be a no op, and for ZNS it would
Well,
advance
that
that.
depends. Are the semantics that it has to zero the intervening space?
Hmm.
I'm
For a
asking you.
block,
Are the
yes.
semantics that it has to zero the intervening space?
Um, Maybe for the block, it's not needed to zero the.
Yeah.
Then the semantics of the interface are that it's undefined what's in the space you advance
Yeah,
past, right? That's okay with me,
yeah.
but you should specify it in the interface.
Hmm.
Do you understand what I mean, Aravind?
Yeah. So yeah, I got it. So advance would be available from all the in as a part of the interface, and then segment allocator would advance the right pointer, which would turn out to be a no op for block and for this one as of now, at least for now, for ephemeral interfaces. Whereas for ZNS, if an advance is needed, then it would advance the right pointer, and then segment allocator would do a write when advance is done.
Yep, sounds right to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems correct.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying. I'll make this change and then I'll send out the version 2. And I had a couple of one more thing. For ZNS is not getting built right in the CI in Ceph CI because of the kernel dependency. Like it needs 5.9 or more. We discussed it a couple of weeks back. Mm, so is there any plan in near future to get it enabled, like so that we can track if anything breaks or like that, things like that?
That was we needed a higher kernel version for what exactly? I forgot.
Yes, the ZNS support is available from 5.9.
Okay. I mean,
The
I would
entire
send an email to Ceph Devel and
uh,
CC who handles our infrastructure stuff. Failing at names. David Galloway. CC David Galloway.
okay. Okay, so ZNS support is from 5.9, and it would not the blockzone.h, which is the interface header file, is not updated for ZNS in the previous versions. The SMR works. SMR zone block devices work with pre 5.9 kernels, but ZNS requires a couple of more fields which are defined 5.9, post 5.9. So to build anything for ZNS, we need 5.9 kernel.
Okay, so like I said, send an email to Ceph Devel and CC David Galloway. Ask
Okay.
about getting the kernels upgraded on the build machines.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So after this review and any more review comments, then I'll start looking into adding test cases. I would just an update.
Cool.
And
Oh,
also
actually,
yeah.
I guess I need to. I'll file a bug and CC you on it tomorrow for getting the kernels upgraded. Now that I think about it, that's the right way to do it.
Okay. Okay. And I have been able to run it on a physical ZNS drive. It with a different zone size and zone capacity. Like zone size was 2 GB and zone capacity was like 1 GB approximately. So it ran through the drive for about 20-30 minutes. I was able to run it without any issues. I'm planning to run more longer tests today and tomorrow. So I'll keep you updated, guys. Thanks. That's all I
Okay.
had.
Yingchen?
Yeah, last week I'm looking at currently I'm looking at the gaps that that our transaction manager is. There are something some segment-specific mechanisms in the transaction management that I think that would influence the random block manager implements. So I currently find out two places. The first one is get extended if alive, and the second place is the way we prevent outdated data to be replaced. So currently these two places are specific to segments. And I also found out that we are using the parallel for each interface. So there's a note in the comment that we should not use them in a large range. We should only use them in small range. Currently, I'm preparing changes for device tiering, and I have implemented some cleanups to decouple the async cleaner interface and the transaction manager with segments. So they are two related PRs. And currently, I'm trying to move async cleaner into extend place manager, and in order to make the async cleaner to hide different logics for a segment-based tier and random block-based tier, and so that we can implement generic tiering logic in the extend place manager. And that's what I think right now. That's all.
Okay. Jinyu?
I'm still working on keys range remove. The adjust indexes might be a little complicated. And I found a better merge policy for OMAP. This can better ensure the B+ tree structure. And this is also a necessary change to deal with the boundary merge in range remove. I will create a PR for this later today. That's all.
Cool. Chenmei?
I also took a PTO last week and still working on the topology environment test for the Riddles API. Currently, 60% test suite passed in the topology environment, and I meet two problems. One, there is a third happened, and another is that the system hung and no return, no output. I still test the remaining 40% test cases. Then we'll fix that bugs. That's all.
Okay. Matan?
No update since yesterday, just came to catch up. I will be working on rollbacks and snapshot rollbacks and continue to work on the suite.
Okay. Graham?
This week I did some work for my code of the fixed B tree optimization to prepare it for a PR. And I also submitted two PRs to fix two minor issues I found when I was debugging the code. That's all for me.
All right. Is there anything else? All right. Have a good week, y'all. Bye.
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 Bye.